Welcome to the AG45 Soul Aligned Strategy Podcast, where business meets purpose, growth feels good, and results meet enjoyment. Hosted by Katherine Breuss, CEO and founder of AG45, this show is built on 30 years of hands-on experience across 4 countries, 3 businesses, and 1 incredible life raising 4 children. Katherine brings a rare whole-person perspective to business, strategy, and leadership. This podcast is for business owners ready to stop spinning, start aligning, and build a business that delivers real value while creating a life that actually feels like yours. At the end of the day, you are the engine behind it all. And when you're clear and aligned, everything moves with purpose. It starts with you. Let's dive in.
Welcome, Melanie Varin, to the AG45 Soul Line podcast. It is great to have you here, and I would love for you to share with the audience about who you are and also, about your business as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Katherine, for the opportunity. Really appreciate it. So again, I'm Melanie Varin. I am the CEO and owner of a business called Top Line Results. I'll come back to that in a minute, but I'm also a mom, and I'm also a very active member of my church, and I'm also in a great neighborhood, and as of a couple years ago now, live on a wonderful lake, and that's a big part of what we do, especially this time of year, given that it's summertime in Wisconsin.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. Back to the business. So Top Line Results is a tech company that actually helps our clients put together the tools for building valuable relationships. So we support 3 of the best well-known CRMs in the business, and one is Microsoft Dynamics. Anybody who's using Microsoft could benefit from that. Another is Zoho, which is maybe a little more cost-effective option for folks who want to watch their investment. And then HubSpot is the 3rd option, and that's an option where if somebody's really leaning into marketing, that's a great option because it started out first as a marketing tool and then as a CRM. But in addition to the CRM work that we do, we help connect our clients' marketing efforts to their sales efforts, so their sales and marketing are aligned. So we support the marketing side of all 3 of those platforms, plus many other platforms like Constant Contact and MailChimp and even Marketo and Pardot and whatnot. So we support a wide range of platforms for building relationships so that our clients can grow as they get the word out about themselves and stay in contact with their current clients, reach out to prospects, or optimize some of their operations and whatnot. So we help select the platforms, implement the platforms, train, help drive engagement, tweak, add capabilities as they grow and they need more stuff. And that's what we do day in and day out. Our team is about 16 people. All but 1 are based here in Wisconsin. 1 is in the Chicagoland area. But we sell to people in about 26 states. So kind of a big reach, even though by and large, most of our clients are in Wisconsin and Illinois. And we work with all types of businesses, small to medium-sized businesses typically, but manufacturing, financial services, nonprofits, professional services, industrial services, just a huge variety. So it's really fun. Every day is different. And we're generally helping people just live into their dreams for growing and expanding their reach. And when we help our clients succeed, then we feel pretty happy and successful as well. So
That's really cool. I love that. And CRM, the world of CRM. So for the last couple of years, I knew you needed to get CRM, but there is such oh my gosh, there are so many CRMs out there, and it's like, and it's not my forte, it can be really overwhelming. So do you support businesses and the owners to not only choose the right CRM, but then actually setting it up and then utilizing it in the best way possible? Because a CRM, you could use this much of it, or it could be
Yes.
that much.
Yeah, well, it's like any other software we buy. Think of Excel. Excel has so many functions, and most of us use the most simple of them and are barely scratching the surface. We do help our clients try to get as much out of their CRM investment as possible, because if you only use the superficial stuff, then you basically have an electronic Rolodex, And, there are cheaper ways to do that. But there are so many things in CRM now, especially with the advent of AI and some of the new capabilities that brings to bear, that we really try to help our clients get as much out of their investment, to use the functions that make sense for them, hide the functions they don't care about and don't need because we don't want to overcomplicate, but then also train and assist. And as they grow and need more capability, then help them understand what the options are. So then hopefully they can stay in the same platform they have, and just with an add-on or some additional support or a portal or something else, they can have even more capability to keep growing. So
That's great. And I just want to, because one of the things, at AG45, we help owners with time.
yes.
And I cannot emphasize enough a CRM for those out there who are not using a CRM or not utilizing their CRM really well. I would absolutely applaud or support and say go and figure this out, and contact Melanie or someone like who is an expert in it, because it really does save you time. And I'm even going to say as well, it is worth investing having someone who knows how to set it up, how to use it, because that in itself can be so overwhelming for someone that then you don't even do it, or like you said, it's just sitting there and it's a Rolodex. But
Right.
from a time and effectiveness and efficiency and all of that, highly, highly recommend. So
Yes. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, um, most of it, let's face it, most of the information you need out there is on the web somewhere, and you can probably figure it out, but it will take you a very long time to do so, and you can fall into some rabbit holes or some pits that you don't want to be in. We've done so much of this so often that we know which rabbit holes to avoid, which pits to sidestep, and can do things probably a lot more efficiently. So part of what you do when you invest in a CRM is not only invest in the software itself, but invest in the services to help you get up and running efficiently. And that's what we like to do, is get our clients up and running, as efficiently as we can, so they can be productive, because that's what it's all about. It's a productivity tool by and large, so that you can sell better and faster and smarter, and
yeah.
just improve your own business. So
Yeah, and get more of your time back, like
yes,
letting
yes.
these systems do a lot of the heavy lifting. Well, I am a huge fan of what you do, and it is really, really, really needed.
Thank you.
And we were talking earlier about soul lined, so soul lined strategy, and that is probably one of the key aspects of AG45, because we believe that the owner, the CEO, the leaders, the people who are making the decisions, taking the action, it's really important that they are taking care of themselves, that they're, as I call, they're the engine behind everything. So it's ensuring that it's clean. So you're having clarity about who you are, where you're going, what you want, because when you show up that way, then you can actually, that impacts the decisions in the business. So I'm so interested in terms of how other business owners and leaders think of soul aligned. So Melanie, when you think of soul aligned, I'd love to hear your take, and also what you see as the impact of your business and your life when you are soul aligned, and also when you're not.
Okay, well, let me give you two similar but different answers to that, because I think they both apply, at least in my case. So I'm going to rewind a little bit. Before I came actively involved in my own business, I worked for a corporate. And when I was at GE Healthcare, I was leading a marketing team. And my boss tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, I want you to lead the sales team as well." And I had no experience doing that, but I quickly learned once I got in there, and learned from my sales professional peers who were really great at what they did, that some of what my marketing team was doing and some of what my sales team were doing were not very well aligned. Talking about alignment, very often sales is headed off in one direction and marketing in a different. When I realized that, and I didn't know that before I had both roles, but once I had both roles and I could see both sides, I put several things in place to get those aligned. And it became like a superpower. Honestly, we had higher revenue, higher margins, higher employee sat, higher customer sat, less turnover. Everything was like all of a sudden way better than it had been before. And that alignment made a huge difference. So I became a huge fan of that kind of alignment from day one when I experienced it. And I ended up writing a book about it. And I think I did that because I want other people to know and experience the benefit of that. One of the things that makes me soul aligned about our business is that's exactly what we try to do for our clients, is try to make sure their sales teams and their marketing teams are well aligned. And to that end, we support both types of platforms, but we've also written integrations to connect the platforms. So if you're using Microsoft on one side for sales and HubSpot on the other side for marketing, we can now help those platforms talk, and that data can be shared back and forth. And so you can keep your teams looking at the same data, even if they're in different platforms, because the platforms are connected. So that kind of alignment is very much in line with who I am and one of my big passions. So in that regard, I would say that aspect for me is very soul aligned. The other side of things is, sometimes I take on too much and I try to do too much. And when I was the COO, which was the case up until about 6 weeks ago, I had certain roles and responsibilities. Now that I've recently been named the CEO, I need to transition out of some of those responsibilities and into different ones. Some of them will be the same because as an owner, some of them I just own from being owner. So I'm not quite through that transition yet. And so in that regard, I'm not perfectly soul aligned because I'm kind of doing two big jobs right now instead of one. And I need to find a way to get rid of some things and a way to take on some other things. And I haven't successfully made that transition yet, partially because some of the projects I was working on got bigger, not smaller, since the announcement happened. And so I'm just working my way through that. But it's all good stuff. So I think, to your point, taking care of myself is something I have to keep in mind and do. And I will say for the last, 15 months, I've been much, much better about exercising. So that's one of the things that keeps me soul aligned, is just having that routine and saying, no matter what, I'm going to do this for me. And that helps a lot. So.
Well, first, will you share with the audience the name of your book and where they can find it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. My book is called Ignite Top Line Growth. And there's a subtitle, How RevOps and Go-to-Market Alignment Spark Success. So RevOps, or revenue operations, is where all of the revenue generating teams, so sales, marketing, customer success, and whatnot, all come under one umbrella in alignment. And so that's the subtitle, but it's written kind of like a Patrick Lencioni book, where he always tells a fable in the beginning and then summarizes the concepts. I've done that as well, got the permission of one of my clients to use them as kind of the target company that I referenced, and then summarize the concepts. It's not rocket science, but it's so fundamental, a lot of people aren't doing it. Like when I did research for the book, the cost of misalignment between sales and marketing is $1 trillion a year. A trillion with a T. You can buy the book on Amazon, both as an ebook or as a paperback. And then it's available at any bookstore. If you ask them to order it, they can order it. They probably just won't have it on their shelves. So if you have a favorite independent bookstore and you like shopping there, you can go there, give them the title, they can order it and get it for you. But otherwise, Amazon has it in stock.
Oh, I love that. Support the local bookstores, the
Yes.
local shop. That's gosh, because when I actually think about it, there's not a lot of them anymore.
No, there really aren't. And they're so fun to go into and spend a little time and shop around. And they always have great informed owners or proprietors who can tell you what to look for and where to find things and make recommendations. And so it's really great to see folks who are passionate about books and willing to kind of stick it out against all the big guys, the Amazons and the Barnes and Nobles and the others out there. So yeah.
I know.
Not that I have anything against those folks, but yeah.
I know. I don't either, but they're obviously, I've got a love for small to mid businesses, and in terms of AG 45 and ensuring that they don't only survive, but they're thriving. I love what you said going back to talking about aligning the sales and marketing and how the results soared. And
Yeah.
you saw that. And so, from an aspect of when we think of ourselves as if we are not aligned with how we're showing up in our life, whether that is in business, whether that is outside of our business, we are not going to get the same type of results as if or when we are aligned. That the results that we get are going to be much more exponential. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
exponential results, and enjoy the journey.
yeah, exactly. Well, I agree that alignment has kind of a superpower of its own. Certainly on the sales and marketing side, I've lived through that, but I know that when I am in that spot where I need to be doing the things I need to do and balanced in terms of taking care of myself as well as the business, I know that I'm in a much better spot. I'm going to think of things differently. I'm going to call on people who might give me ideas instead of try to do things all on my own. And all of a sudden, it's like, wow, this is so much more fun than when I'm trying to figure it all out by myself. So yeah, I agree. Alignment, whether it's soul alignment or, go to market alignment or whatnot, it has a huge, huge impact and it's always very positive. So
It really is. And
yeah,
even, to the point of um, when you go beyond just you. So with a lot of people who are listening, they have teams, and you have a team of
yeah.
15, and
Mhm.
you have, leaders, other decision makers in that team. And it's not only ensuring that you, as the business owner or the CEO, that you're aligned, it's also ensuring that your team is aligned to the business and where the business is going. Otherwise, like to your point, when sales and marketing, they were going off in different directions, um, you're just not going to get the same results. So, can you share maybe an example of the impact when leaders are involved in the strategy of the division or the business and getting them aligned to the direction you want to take and the impact that has?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple things came to mind. One, I'm going to give you a small example of just making yourself available and being more aligned with the goals of the business. So back in my GE days, at one point when I had my third child, I went part-time, and that was good for me. That helped me stay soul aligned because I had other priorities than just work, work, work. Um, But when I was doing that, I would come to work, I'd keep my head down, I'd do my work, and I'd leave because I only had so many hours in the day, and I wanted to just get it done and go back to the rest of my life. One of my boss called me aside and said, Melanie, you need to spend more time at the water cooler. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, no one else is getting the benefit of your work because you're so head down, get the job done, that you're not being part of the team, sharing ideas, offering suggestions, mentoring others. You've got a lot of experience and things to share. You really need to offer that up. That's a gift you can give to others. So spend more time at the water cooler, even though there was no water cooler. It was just a figment, a virtual water cooler per se. And it made me stop and slow down and think, oh, yeah, it's not all about just checking the boxes and getting the stuff done. There's a much bigger picture here. And being a part of the team is part of being aligned with the mission of the larger group because I could help others, they could help me, and it became a kind of a 1 + 1 = 3 thing. So, that was back in my earlier career, but it stuck with me because I'm like, that's so true today. Even now here, I try to make a point when I'm in the office, which I try to do at least 3 days a week because we have a lot of virtual people, but at least 3 days a week, I try to be in the office and I try to make sure I talk to everybody in the office every day when I'm there, even if I only have a few minutes just to check in because I want to know that I care. I want them to know that I'm interested in what they're doing and I want to be there to support them and that we are all part of a team. And I think that kind of alignment goes a long way. And then when you start talking strategy and you start talking tactics and you start talking goals and whatnot, now you've got a team that feels like you care, they know you, they want to rally behind you, and it helps everything just come together better. Plus, they often, because they're doing a lot of the work, they can offer suggestions that I might not think of, and then that also becomes a kind of a 1+1 is 3 thing, because otherwise it's like, if I have to figure it out by myself, I'll probably head down the wrong path and realize it, weeks, months later, and realize, oh, shoot, I shouldn't have done that. But somebody else might steer me correctly. And if I'm just open to their ideas and willing to engage and ask questions and learn more, I think we're just better together. That collective
Mhm.
wisdom is better than somebody trying to do it on their own. So that whole team effort, building the team and keeping that dialogue going, has been awesome. It's been really, really helpful. And that's one of the first things I did when I became CEO, is have sit downs individually with each member of the team to understand kind of where they are and what they're doing and what's important to them. One of my management team leaders said, I challenge you not to ask them what they're doing, but tell them what you think they're doing to see how close you are. And it'll give them a sense for whether you really know what's going on or not. So I took that challenge on and did it. And for the most part, people were pleasantly surprised about how much I knew about what they were doing. And so that was reaffirming to them as well that, hey, she knows, she cares, and she's paying attention. And that went a long way, I think, toward alignment. And it was also just really fun, too, just to have those conversations. So
It might not be the best strategy to do that if you don't think that you are going to get it right. 'Cause
no, no, if you're not going to get it right, better not try that. But I was fairly confident I would get pretty close. So yeah.
So what, the way when you were talking, I envision, and I use this a lot, is like a rowing team. And, when you actually, have someone helping to direct, and the direction you're going, and everybody knows that direction. Um, and then the more people you have in the boat, and they're all like wanting to get you there and rowing, you're going to get there a lot smoother, a lot faster than if it's just you.
Yes. Yes.
Or if you have people in there and everybody's kind of rowing, not in a cadence and rowing in different directions and what. So that's what I was envisioning as you were um, talking through the alignment of your team. Um, and then also, when you brought up water cooler, which is interesting. I mean, there was a time where there
Yes.
was an actual water cooler and you would actually stand by the water cooler and have chats.
Yes.
I think those days are kind of gone. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, I'm showing my age with that one, but yeah.
Hey, I'm right there with you. Like that was there were some really special moments actually. It was, is it the coffee machine or is it the
Mm,
water cooler where you'd actually get some of those most impactful conversations. And so it's actually now about being more creative about, well, okay, if we're in a virtual world, how does that happen?
yeah.
But pretty cool that you do it and you go into the office and get to understand and have clarity about, who the people are that you're working with, and them having clarity even about you, and that alignment. So I have another question. I'm going to change gears a little bit
Okay.
towards value, and value in terms of a business. What would you say if there was, one or two things that you think, regardless of the industry, regardless of the business, that you go, this is your most valuable asset in terms of when you are growing that within your business?
Yeah. Most of the time, I think your most valuable asset are your employees, your team members. They're going to be the ones who, get the job done. And they're going to be those faces to your customers or clients, and either making it work or not. So I think employees are some of the most valuable assets. Obviously, your strategy is pretty important because you want to know where you're going. And if you are leading a team of rowers, you want to make sure you're headed in the right direction and you're all rowing in a way that's going to make sense for the business. So I would think strategy has got to be right up there. Obviously, clients. Getting them and finding them and keeping them happy and keeping them coming back for more is another valuable asset. I know sometimes when companies are sold, they're sold because another company just wants that company's clients, and so that's another valuable asset as well. If you're a huge enterprise, certainly there's a lot of value in certain brands and things like that. We're not a big enough brand that, our top line results brand is probably going to matter at the end of the day when it comes to our valuation. But I would say your employees and your customers and your strategy, your direction, knowing where you're headed and why are probably some of the most important values that any company, regardless of industry, regardless of size, is going to really make the biggest impact.
You're speaking my language, strategy, it's and strategy. I mean, for some people, when they think strategy, they're like, oh, strategy. But I just think about it as the rower. It's like knowing where you're going, and it's like, okay, who's the team? How we're gonna do it? What's the pace? I don't know. That to me is just really cool.
Yeah.
Last question I have, and then I'm gonna let you go and probably have some dinner or something. But in terms of, so there's fellow business owners listening, and as a business owner, as a CEO, running a company, regardless of the size, it can feel lonely. There are challenges that we face that might be a little bit different than if you were, an employee. What would be one piece of advice that you would like to share with the owners who are listening to this podcast that might just help them feel less alone and or even get some golden nuggets that they can take away?
Well, one of the things that I value most in terms of my support network, which I think is really important to have a support network, are kind of two different types of networks. One is I belong to a women's leadership organization called Tempo Milwaukee, and one of the best things they offer are mentor circles. And so monthly, I get together with my mentor circle, and that's where I can share things that are challenging for me in business or whatnot. And they have learned a little bit about my business over time, but they have good business sense. They're women leaders who are successful and they can offer suggestions. So that group has been very, very supportive. They were super supportive when I was writing my book because I was doing that nights and weekends and like burning the candle on both ends, and then super supportive when it came out. So having a support network is great. And I find that in a leadership organization like that is great. I know Fred was involved, my husband was involved in CEO roundtables through various chambers and whatnot. So that kind of support network is really, really good, especially for owners or CEOs who want to bounce ideas off, but maybe don't feel comfortable doing it with the employees or the team because maybe it's premature or whatnot. Having that independent support network is good. The other support network for me is really my church. I mean, I'm very involved there and have friends there who we might not talk business, but if I'm having a personal challenge or issue with family or whatnot, in fact, I have a son who's ill right now. They're super supportive, and that goes such a long way to making me feel like I'm not alone and I have people who care, people who love me, people who are willing to pray for me or call me or send me a note or whatnot and just let me know that, hey, they're with me and that they think I've got this and I'll find a way through, So that's my offer, suggestion to offer is get that support network, whether it's personal or professional or whatnot. That to me, that goes a long way toward helping. And really, when I think about soul aligned, that's a really great way for me to feel like I'm soul aligned too. So
I love that. And we have that as one of our 5 A's in terms of success. And it's having advocates,
yes,
and it's looking and asking that question of the people who I surround myself with, whether in business or outside of business, because we're more than just our business. We're
yes,
we're more than even three-dimensional. But do they lift me up or are they bringing me down? And obviously, we want those advocates and that support network to lift us up. So I love that piece of advice because it is really, really important.
thank you.
Melanie, thank you so much for your time. It has been a real pleasure to have you on the podcast, and maybe we'll have to have you back in six
Well,
months or
Catherine,
so.
yeah, thank you, Catherine, so much for the opportunity. It's been a pleasure. I watched some of your earlier podcasts before hopping on this one, and I think you have a lot to offer business owners. So best of luck to you, and yeah, hopefully we will stay connected in the future.
Yeah,
So
I would love that.
yeah,
Thank you.
okay. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thanks for joining us on the AG45 Soul Aligned Strategy podcast. If you're ready to align your soul with your business, take back your time, and grow with intention, we'd love to connect. Visit accelerategrowth45.com to schedule a call, apply to be a guest, or take the next step toward building a soul-aligned business. At AG45, we believe when business meets value, wealth meets legacy, and time meets freedom, the journey becomes truly enjoyable. Until next time, stay aligned, stay inspired, and keep building your legacy.